The following program, offered by Fox 19, includes lawyers licensed in Kentucky. For those lawyers to maintain compliance with the Kentucky Bar Association requirements, the phrase, "This is an advertisement," must appear on the screen. Moore Law is underwritten in the public interest by the Moore Law Firm, a legal professional association. This is Moore Law on Fox 19.
Nobody wants to think about getting into a traffic accident this time of year, or any time for that matter, but tired travelers, stressed out shoppers, Christmas party drinkers, and winter weather make it a dangerous time on the road. Let's talk about what to do if you're involved in a crash. What if it's not clear who is at fault? Should you accept a settlement from the other driver's insurance company, or what are your options? If you have a question about traffic accidents, call us now, 513-421-4691. As always, we will take your questions live. Don Moore, good morning.
Hey, how you doing, Deb?
Good. How was your week?
Well, the week was good. The weekend, we got to go to the Bengal game yesterday.
That's the we that didn't include me.
Yeah, that would be the we,
Okay.
me and my wife.
Okay. Good for you, but wow, what a tough way to finish that game.
Gee, it's like they just couldn't quite punch it through.
Right. Well, that happened to most of them in the division yesterday, so
Yeah, well.
they didn't lose a lot of ground.
Well, so on an up note, we have a great guest today. Jay Vaughn's with us today. Hey, Jay, how you doing?
Good, Don. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Jay is an NKU Chase College of Law grad, just like me and a lot of other family members. He has taught at the law school over there, and he's handled accident cases the whole time he's been practicing.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Jay, let's just start off with, just very basically, if somebody's in a traffic accident, what are the first things that they should do while they're on the scene, whether they plan to look for legal advice or not, what do they need to do right away?
Important, if you are able to have a cell phone, I think call 911, make sure the authorities are alerted. I think it's important to check on anyone else in your car to see how they're doing. Stay in your car until the first responders get there, whether it be EMS or police. And then make sure once the first responders are there, if you're safely out of your car, try to get names of any witnesses, phone numbers, addresses, things of that nature. And lastly, again, if you're able to do so safely, preserve some evidence. If you have a cell phone or a camera, take pictures of some of the damage of the cars to kind of help preserve and show what happened.
Okay.
That's cell phone business. That people forget that. And it is so great when somebody comes to you with photos so you can see what really happened. Things like skid marks and damage in car position, all that changes and goes away.
Absolutely.
But you also mentioned the downside of having those cell phones these days. Talk a little bit about the texting issues.
It's a problem. Everyone wants information instantly, and they think from going to point A to point B, they have to have that text. They have to send that text, read that email, and it is a major, major cause of accidents nowadays. Statistics are out there showing the high number of crashes and serious crashes, fatalities caused by texting. So the biggest thing to the viewers, just put your phone away, keep it for an emergency. That text can wait, that email can wait till you get to your destination.
Is it true, or is it more of a myth that it's, young people who are doing the texting and driving? Because I sure drive along, and I'm pretty sure I'm seeing people my age, and they're doing something. I don't know if they're dialing or texting, but it's a problem.
It is, and I don't think it's just the young generation. I think everyone nowadays that has a cell phone is using it more often, but the reality is the younger generation came up with that technology, so it's more second nature to them, and I don't think they realize the distraction that they have when they're driving and using the phone compared to an older generation who I think is more aware of that.
So the difference between the younger generation and the older generation, speaking as one that's not part of the younger generation, is that we're slower and not as quick. So as we are sitting at the light, we're trying to get that last little couple letters in, then the light changes and we pull off, and we're still doing it when we shouldn't be.
Right.
Okay. All right, let's start taking a few calls now. First up, we have Eugene, I believe, in Cincinnati. Good morning, Eugene.
Good morning.
Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you had a traffic light, someone brings you the. Good morning. I just want to know if you had the light try to hit you from the rear, is they responsible for your hospital bill and loss of wages?
So if somebody hits you from behind?
I didn't hear all the calls.
I was having trouble with it too. Did you get it all?
I think it was just that if you're at a traffic light and somebody hits you from behind and you've already come to the full stop, their fault, no fault, how does it work?
It's different between Kentucky and Ohio. I'll talk about Kentucky real quick, and I think Don could talk about Ohio, but in Kentucky it's a no-fault state. So basically, if you get rear-ended by someone else, you're stopped at the light, your own company your car insurance company would owe your medical bills and lost wages. Eventually, they could get reimbursed by the company for the person that hits you. You could later have a personal injury claim against the driver that hits you in his or her insurance company. That's how it works in Kentucky.
And in Ohio, Eugene, if you're talking about an Ohio wreck, somebody hits you from the back, then essentially it's always their fault. They're going to be responsible. Sometimes it's better to have their insurance company take care of your car. Sometimes you're better off having your own company take care of it. If you have your company do it, you've got to pony up the deductible, which is aggravating. But sometimes your own company is going to be a little quicker than the other company. So my advice usually is try and have the other company do it first. And if they're being reasonable and reasonably quick, great. If not, have your company do it and then go ahead and pay the deductible. And you can collect it later on from the wrong doors.
Okay, I hope that's helpful, Eugene. Next up, we have Anthony in Westwood. Go ahead, Anthony.
Basically, my question is basically the same thing. If you riding in back of somebody and all of a sudden they just slam on the brakes, and can they be reliable also?
Can they,
or even if it's from the side?
or is it just the assured clear distance rules are pretty straightforward?
For the most part, the situation I think you're talking about, Anthony, is that you rear end someone, but the person in front of you slams their brakes on unexpectedly. Really what the law recognizes is if you are keeping your car under reasonable speed and control, you have a safe distance between the car in front of you, you should be able to react in time to the car in front of you that slams on its brakes, stop in time safely and not hit that vehicle. So under most situations, are there exceptions? Sure, there can be. Most situations, you're still going to be at fault for rear-ending that car in front of you.
Yeah, generally speaking, you hit it, you bought it.
Yeah.
Words to live by. We're going to take a break right now. Give us a call. We're talking about traffic accidents today. 513-421-4691. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to More Law on Fox 19, your legal questions live, with local broadcaster and award-winning reporter Deb Haas and Cincinnati personal injury attorney Don Moore, recognized by Ohio Super Lawyers. More answers, more help, more law on Fox 19.
Time now for More Law Connection, where Dan Moore is answering email questions. Dan, I understand that our guest today has maybe bested you in a couple of basketball games?
Yeah,
right?
I figured that was coming, but you know, the funny thing about that, Jay likes to say that, but he hasn't been back since he claimed that he beat me.
Oh.
So that should say something there. Anyway, good morning, everybody. Today our first question is from Luther. He wants to know that he's heard the terms at fault and no fault with regard to car accident insurance, and he wants to know, what does that mean? Well, there are two different types of insurance systems that a state can use to handle car crash claims. The first, we've kind of talked about both of these already, actually, but the first system is the liability insurance system, or some people call an at fault. Ohio's system is that, and that is the insurance company for the party who's responsible for the crash must pay the damage. Under a no-fault system, which Kentucky is, if you have a crash, your company is going to pay your damage up to $10,000 before you have an opportunity to pursue the other company. It's important for you to know what what insurance system your state operates under, and it's important that I found anyway, and you guys can chip in here, to find out what system the state where your crash occurs operates under too, because that really has an effect on how the claims are handled. Dad, Jay, what do you guys think?
All right, thanks a lot, Dan. We're back with Jay Vaughn. Thanks again for joining us. I think you two wanted to elaborate a little bit on what Dan was saying.
Yeah, you know, the no-fault business, Jay, is something that you've dealt with for, well, the whole time you've been practicing, isn't it?
All 10 years of my practice, absolutely.
So let's talk about it for a second. What does no-fault mean?
It basically it means that regardless of who's at fault in a wreck, if you are injured, you have bills, you have lost wages, you go to your own insurance company for the car you're in to cover those damages, those losses initially. It's a system so you don't have to worry about filing paperwork with the other company and find out, are they going to accept fault.
Okay.
Just go, get your bills and lost wages paid, and it's what car you're in. So the car you're in owes it. So if you're in your friend's car, if I'm in your car, Don, and we get in a wreck, your auto insurance in Kentucky would pay my no-fault benefits.
And there are thresholds, as they
Correct.
say in the law. What does that mean?
There's two thresholds. The first threshold, to have a personal injury claim from an auto accident in Kentucky, you have to have at least $1,000 in medical bills or lost wages or a permanent injury or broken bone. The other threshold is you have up to $10,000 in the no-fault system to pay bills and wages. Anything over that $10,000, you then can make a claim and get that those additional losses covered by the at-fault company.
So then it kind of reverts back to the same system like we have in Ohio. It's just whoever's at fault is the one who's responsible.
Correct.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's head back to the phones now. We have Anita in Westwood. Anita, you were hit by someone in another car, right?
Yes, I was. And the police was on the scene. Now, my question is, I had insurance, but the other party didn't. When I went through the insurance company, I was told to go on and pay my deductible, and they'll handle it and everything from that end. My question is, and I have a problem with that, I didn't have my deductible. My problem is, why don't they stay on the other drivers on getting their insurance in order? That's my question. What can we do about that? And the state not stand behind the other drivers on keeping their insurance.
Okay. Don, what might you suggest?
Well, so if I understand, basically what happened here is an uninsured motorist hits you and you've got a deductible out, and if you don't have the deductible, then you're just kind of, you're at a loss. There's a couple things. Number one, you have a claim against the other driver. And if they don't have insurance, that doesn't mean they're off the hook. In fact, there's another way they're on the hook. You can report the fact that they're uninsured and they were at fault in an accident to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles, and they will lift their license until they pay you. So you'll get a little help from the state of Ohio. It's a little cumbersome. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but that's one way you can compel a person who doesn't have insurance to be a little more responsible and pay what they owe. Otherwise, you're just going to have to deal with your own insurance company and do the best you can.
Okay. All right, let's take another call now. We have Chris, I believe, in Evanston. Go ahead, Chris.
I had wanted to know, okay, I was a passenger in an accident. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know if I just sue the person who we hit, or is it possible to sue who we hit and the person whose car was?
Who would be liable in something
question.
like that?
Well, Chris, it depends on the situation. Could be both. If the person who's driving the car you're in had any fault, was going too fast, didn't use a turn signal, something that ran a light, then that driver could have some liability. If the person that hit you all did something negligent, something wrong, then you also could. So that really depends on the police report. If you don't have it already, look at the police report, what other witnesses say. But you could have a claim for injury against both drivers under certain facts.
Okay, great. Let's go back now to Dan Moore with another email question. Dan?
Okay, our second question this morning is from Donald. He says, I've had to replace 3 tires due to potholes. Will the city or state reimburse me for that? It's winter weather driving. The weather does bad things to the road, and this is a common question during this time of year. It's a good question. Here's the general rule. You can't recover for damage to your car as a result of a pothole unless you can prove that the city or the state, who's ever responsible for maintaining the road there, knew or should have known about that pothole and they failed to do something about it. So you got to show that they knew about it and that they didn't fix it before you can cover for your damage. Now, one of the easiest ways to prove that is to call a hotline that a lot of the cities have going on during the wintertime to report potholes or report pothole damage. You can submit your information over the phone there, and sometimes they can process your claim and get you a payment out. And even if they haven't heard about the pothole, they can at least log into the system, and you can help your fellow drivers down the road if they suffer some damage as a result of that pothole problem. Okay, if you have a question, go to the Fox 19 website, fox19.com, click on the More Law button, fill out the Send Us Your Questions form, and then click Submit. We're going to do our best to answer your questions. That's all I got for today. Jay, have a good Christmas.
You too, Dan. Thank you.
All right, we are going to take a break right now. We'll be back with more Law. Give us a call talking about holiday traffic accidents, 513-421-4691.